I'm Michael. I'm a compulsive eater. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I write them down. I call them into my sponsor. I eat everything I commit no matter what. I don't eat anything else no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life, without exception. I'm truly grateful to say that, and I'm grateful that that's true. I've been abstinent since November 23rd of last year, 2019. And thank you for asking me to do this. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. What it was like. For me, compulsive eating has just been eating my whole life. And that was just what eating was like in my house growing up. It's pretty much not just in like my house, but at family events and stuff. It was, it was overeating from everybody. Eating was celebration. Eating was something that was done kind of in response to any emotion or situation, like if we were happy about something, or if we were upset about something, or if we, if we were anything about something. My mom had been really, really, really skinny. And then she put on a lot of weight. And so she was always trying to lose weight and trying diets and buying things and stuff like that. And that was kind of a daily struggle for her. And that just kind of became the way that my brother and I ate also. We would eat during the day foods that we didn't really like. And then we would get excited when her resolve would break at the end of the day, and stuff from high up in the cabinets would come down, or in the back of the freezer would come out, and then we could get the good stuff and watch TV at night. I was heavy in school. That was brought to my attention by the kids I went to school with. I already knew it, but they brought it to my attention anyway. I was in like TV and commercials and movies and stuff when I was a kid. And that became a problem for me because like there was this one movie that I was in, and like at the start of filming, like I was a certain size, and I would just hang out at the craft services table like all day. And like over the course of filming, like I just kind of kept going like this. And like the director got kind of very upset because like they were watching, and like here's like me at the beginning of like filming, and then like here's me at the end of filming, because I would just like stand at the table and like kind of like do this all day. And so, and I got in trouble at a very young age for stealing, and it was stealing, stuff we don't eat. And, it's kind of, all of that stuff. Typically, like when I was getting in trouble, it was, like I pretended to go home sick from school, and I went home so that I could go to my grandmother's house and just like raid her cabinets and, stuff my face, and then it was like, you're not really sick. If you were sick, you wouldn't be eating, and it was like, when I was getting in trouble, it was like having to do with food. And, but then like I grew up and I went to high school and I graduated to alcohol and drugs, and that worked pretty good. I graduated to them and I kept the food with me. So I just kind of added, I should say, alcohol and drugs. But then, as I was like getting out of high school, I didn't, I really got really obsessed with losing weight, and I started restricting a lot. And I found some different drugs that I could do that would really help me with that. 5 minutes, thank you. I switched from the sweeter, bubbly, carbonated alcohols to the clear, stronger ones, and that was very helpful. Um, and so I got really, really, really thin, and I stopped eating for long periods of time. And I just kind of like went way on the other side of things, but equally obsessive and equally compulsive about not eating. Um, and and then I got a while later I got sober, and the food just came back like so ferociously. I think I put on like 90 pounds in my first year of sobriety. Um, and and I was working the steps. I was, to I guess the best of my ability, but like I basically traded drugs and alcohol for food. And I mean, I was using the hell out of food like a drug, uh, while being sober, sober, sober from drugs and alcohol, but in no way emotionally sober. In no way was I spiritually sober. Like, I know that today. I had no awareness of that at the time. And like, I've likened it like recently, like it's kind of like I had a bucket and I had there was a hole in the bottom of the bucket, and like I'm trying to fill the bucket up with like working the steps, but like I've got this hole in the bottom of the bucket that is my compulsive eating, and like I can't get the bucket full, but I can't see the hole in the bottom of the bucket, and like I'm totally unaware of it, and I can't figure it out, and I'm just spinning my wheels, and I'm just perplexed, and I can't understand why. And I had a friend in AA who was also in Gray Sheet, and she knew why. Like she totally got it. And she talked to me about Gray Sheet, and she explained it to me, and like it instantly clicked with me that this was my problem. And I started weighing and measuring. There were no face-to-face meetings where I lived, and I started going to phone meetings, and all I could comprehend was the food plan. Like at that time, like I was really young, and that was all I could comprehend. And so, I got about 80 something days abstinent, just doing the food and listening to phone meetings and doing anything else in my apartment that I could do while I was listening to phone meetings. And I made a mistake. I had to go back to day one, and I said, oh, I can just do this by myself. And I took the Gray Sheet and I said, thanks very much. I've got the food plan. I'm good on my own. I can work the steps in AA and treat this like a character defect or whatever. And instantly it didn't work. And it took 8 years before I got back to a Gray Sheet meeting, and I gained and lost 100 pounds, I think like 3 times, trying to do it on my own, trying, to just will myself into, practicing abstinence without a community, without committing my food, without, just, the written food plan and doing it on my own. And like, just, from 100, with 100 forms of self-deception. Like I can't do it. It took so long, but the thing is, once I take the first bite, I have absolutely no control over when that roller coaster stops. Like I can't throw the brakes, and that's the sad truth of it. So, I got really physically sick. I got really mentally, spiritually, emotionally sick. I got incredibly, depressed. The lengths that I went to with the food are really, pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization is a good term. I won't really go into kind of the nasty stuff, but, like I nightly, I would be going to bed just with the acid reflux and, praying to not wake up, because like that was just where like I was emotionally. And, and it was food, like, I mean, I had been a daily heroin user, and I had gotten nowhere. 10 minutes. Thank you. I got nowhere close, like, to those feelings, with dope as I did with food. And, that's where food takes me, and I came back in to Gray Sheet. Finally, I actually went to an OA meeting and said, I guess I'll just try to do this as best I can. And there was a Gray Sheeter in that meeting. And, that was divine. And that Gray Sheeter is actually in this Zoom meeting tonight, which is so cool. And I love Zoom. It's so great. And I, total addict that I am. I lived in a city where there were Gray Sheet face-to-face meetings. I didn't know it. It was so cool. I got to do that. And for, about a year, and then I moved away, and it took, not very long at all for me being isolated to, say, I can do this on my own. I can, forget the 8 years, of hell. Like, it's what happened. It's not what had to happen, but it's what did happen. And I was back in it for like 5 more years before, cause once I take the first bite, like I knew instantly, I've done it, but like, I can't stop it. I can't stop it once I start. So I came back in, and I got, I was kind of doing this day one over and over and over roller coaster. And, it's cause I'll tell you why. It's cause I wasn't being completely honest. I wasn't doing, I was going to like 2 meetings a week. I wasn't making phone call. I was, basically, like, I built a fence around a bunch of my life and said, this is my stuff. And like, here's what I'm willing to do in Gray Sheet over here. And here's the rest of my life. And, like, if I'm going to do this and it's going to work, I have to do this as a way of life. Like, for me, like, that's the only way it's going to work, and I was in this meeting, and somebody was qualifying. And, she said, somebody said to her, we're all doing this no matter what. What are you doing? And she said it was like a kick in the stomach. And it was a kick in the stomach to me at the time. And it broke something in my brain, where I was like, I felt so exposed, like, in the best way possible. And, and I was like, that's it. I'm doing 90 and 90. I'm doing, I'm making, I don't care how many phone calls I have to make, 10, 20, whatever, like, every time I was having a food thought, I was texting, I was calling. I have like an hour commute. I listen to the YouTube channel to work and back, whatever, like, just get it in my brain, just get it in there. Whatever, it wasn't like I was going to make a checklist. It was just like, what can I do in the moment for my abstinence? Like, anything I can do. And that really, like, made a difference. My sponsor basically said to me that day, like, if you keep doing what you're doing, which was half measures, which was, not thoroughly following our path, you're going to just keep doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting, which was day one, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted what I saw people in this program with long-term abstinence. I wanted what you guys had. So I had to do different stuff. I knew I had to do different stuff. So I started doing that different stuff. And then, like, I started to get the serenity around my food. Like, the food thoughts really started to, like, melt away. And then, like, that serenity around my food, it started to come into other areas of my life. And, like, I've always been a pretty anxious guy. And, like, that anxiety really started to relax in a lot of ways. I'm not like about to levitate like into nirvana or anything, like far from it. I've got like 119 days. Like I'm totally at 119 days. But like, what I mean is, like, I've really chilled out a whole lot. Like, I can really feel, like, the effects of, these, like, one day at a time practices, like, starting to have an effect on who I am and like the things in my life, like in a really profound way. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. And I want to do everything I can, like everything within my power, within my hula hoop, to protect that, because it's so incredible. I've never felt, thank you, I've never felt this kind of serenity and this kind of joy, just like getting up. Like I have really, really, really great days, and it's incredible. And like, I came into recovery in 2001, and like this is like big, big stuff for me. So I'm super, super grateful. I hope that helped somebody. And with that, I pass. Thanks.